Hi everyone, so in this video we discuss bidirectional recurrent neural networks, which can be very useful in capturing long-term temporal correlations in sequences where you want to also capture non-causal relationships, right? So that can happen in applications like, for example, handwritten recognition. So you're analyzing pixels of an image that represents something that someone hand wrote, right? And here actually the parameter, the independent parameter or the time index doesn't reflect physical time. That's why you want to capture forward and backward in the time parameter. And in bioinformatics applications, like for example analyzing a DNA sequence or something like that, again the parameter, the independent variable, does not reflect physical time, and could even be used in applications where the independent parameter represents physical time, like speech recognition, or maybe analyzing a received wireless signal where time really means physical time. But in these cases, if a bidirectional recurrent neural network is used when the independent parameter represents physical time, it's important to note that this will introduce a delay or a latency constraint, right? Because you have to wait for the future values before you can make inference about the current time step. And the idea behind bidirectional recurrent neural network is recurrent neural networks is very simple. Basically, you have two parts of the network or two sub-networks, one going forward in time, right? So here the H's represent hidden states that capture temporal correlations that are causal or going forward in time, right? And the G's are hidden states that represent the temporal correlations that go backward in time, or the non-causal part. And both the H and the G correspond to the output at every time step, right? So same mechanism as the recurrent neural network with hidden connections, but it's as if you have two versions of or two sub-networks, and both of them contribute to the output, right? So H of t captures the relationship that are causal, and G of t captures the relationships in time that are not causal. Now, if you train a network like this, and we will later discuss how to, what are the challenges with training a network like this, you can empirically assess the importance of each at the end of training or while training by monitoring the weights on the HO connections and the GO connections, right? So if at a given time step G is overwhelmingly affecting the output, then the relationships going backward in time are the ones that are determining the output. If H is overwhelmingly determining the output, then basically the causal relationships are the ones that are determining the output. Now, this doesn't have to happen only in one dimension, can be extended to multiple dimensions. And for a 2D example where you have four states, one going backward and forward in time in the first dimension, second going backward in time in the first dimension, third going forward in time in the second dimension, fourth going backward in time in the second dimension. If you want, so like for example the image example, actually like the handwritten recognition example we mentioned, this would be a 2D with four states. So if for an example like that, check the paper called Grid Long Short-Term Memory, and you might even understand it more after we discuss long short-term memory cells. So one of the important takeaways, and I want to reiterate over it, is if the independent parameter reflects physical time, then using a bidirectional recurrent neural network means that you will have to wait until you obtain the future during inference. You have to wait until you obtain the future values before you can predict the current time step. So that will introduce a delay or a latency constraint. Thank you.